995.com. It is the 24th of February of 2026, and we have got pretty nice weather for the next few days here, getting up to 54 today, 65 tomorrow. Rain pops into the forecast on Thursday, but 67 degrees, and Friday is going to be 66. Weekend looks like it's going to be quite sunny and nice. Now, we're quite a ways away from it, so don't get too excited. But right now, that's what it looks like, so you can make some plans, I would say. Savannah Guthrie has just posted a new video message, and understandably, she's looking pretty rough. Interesting piece of, information came out yesterday, I guess, or maybe early this morning. What we've been seeing in these pictures of the person outside of Nancy Guthrie's home, it wasn't all shot at the same time. Apparently, one of the stills that we got was from a different visit to the home by this person. And for some reason, investigators felt the need to keep that from us. They didn't want to tell us that this guy had been around before, maybe casing the joint. I got to tell you, I'm watching the way this thing is unfolding here, and I certainly am not a seasoned investigator. I don't do this for a living. I don't play one on TV. But I just look at it and say, guys, you got to do better than this. This is terrible. She's been gone for 3 weeks now.
Coming up on 4.
Coming up on 4. It's a terrible look for the people who are supposed to be doing the investigating. Although, once again, they may be keeping things from us, things that we don't know or need to know, or things that have been happening in the background that we're not aware of. I honestly don't know.
Yeah, and this latest video, if I'm seeing this correctly, says the family reward of up to $1 million will be paid only for the recovery of Nancy Guthrie.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we had $200,000 a couple of days ago. So that may have been bumped up as well. But I'm a little taken back. Yeah, here it is. They're now offering a $1 million reward. I'm just taken back that they're not further along with this. And again, part of it is us not knowing what it is information-wise that they have, that local law enforcement and the FBI working together to figure this out. Do they have more information or not? We just want answers, and that's part of the problem. Is they're working through a process, and maybe there's more to it than we know.
It's none of our damn business, okay? That's for starters. This is a Guthrie family problem. Obviously, America's waiting with bated breath. We got distracted for a couple of weeks by the Olympics there, but for the most part, people are waking up and checking on this story pretty much every day. But here's the thing. When they increase the reward from $200,000 to $1 million, that to me is a sign that they're not making any headway.
That's very significant.
That basically tells me that they're counting on money to make a difference and drag people, kicking and screaming into this because of their avarice. I told you I watched the first half of that kidnapped Elizabeth Smart story on Netflix, okay? Of course, over the weekend, while I was down with horrible sinus infection, I caught the rest of it. And, I followed that story pretty closely when it happened because I was in radio. You were in radio.
I remember
we
it
were
well.
all there when it happened, when she got taken, and we were there when she was found. The stuff that we don't know is the stuff that is what really is fascinating in this documentary. I told you about how the 9-year-old suddenly, one day, it just came to her and she realized the voice of the guy that was kidnapping her sister was Emmanuel, a homeless guy that they had met downtown, had brought to their house to do some work. He was supposed to come back to get paid. He never did. He did sneak back in and steal Elizabeth Smart and make off with her and said, make a sound and I'll kill you, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Elizabeth passed a lot of chances to get away, and she admits that now, but she says, I was 14, I was paralyzed, I was terrified, There was one time when they were in a library together, and a police officer came up and said, I need to see that girl's face. He would take her out, she'd have a veil on, and he would say, the only person who's going to see her face is the guy who marries her. This is my daughter, and this is the religion that we belong to, and this is what we believe, and so on and so forth. She had a chance right there to go, I'm Elizabeth Smart.
But she was,
She was too scared.
Yeah, she was too scared.
She was too scared of what might happen. Mm-hmm. She finally got separated from them, got taken away by a police officer during a traffic stop when there were a whole bunch of cops, and was asked point blank, are you Elizabeth Smart? The whole reason that the cops were able to pick her up is because of the Emmanuel thing that the little sister remembered, that it was this guy Emmanuel. And then they did a police sketch of him. And the police said, you know what? We don't think she knows what she's talking about, so we're not going to pursue this. And they buried that sketch, and it was literally months went by.
That's right.
And they said, well, if it is this guy and we were to put it out there, then he would just be on the run, and we can't have that, and that would be terrible, and blah, blah, blah. Well, after 3 or 4 months, and the police, the main investigator, took a job in, I think, Twin Falls, Idaho, as their police chief. So he left Utah, he went there. And the family just went, screw it, and they put the sketch out in public. They had the sketch, and they gave it to all the media and said, this is the guy we're looking for. He goes by the name Emmanuel. We want some answers.
Got to find him.
And lo and behold, the tips came pouring in, and within a couple of days, they had him. And you go, wow, we could have saved 4 months of Elizabeth Smart being brutally raped every night. But the police were just like, we don't think she knows it. You don't.
Well, again,
think?
you have to take, and her sister.
Yeah.
If she's telling you something, just at least follow it through,
right,
all the way to the end of it.
Yeah.
Just listen to what they're saying, because again, she was in the house. At least listen to what she's saying and take.
And
then if she's wrong,
she's
wrong.
Yeah.
But that can happen where you're like, all of a sudden it dawns on you.
Sure.
That I know who this person is.
After months of her struggling with it, it finally just hit her like a bolt out of the blue. And she was like, it was Emmanuel. Now I know who it was. I got it. And they decided it was best to ignore her.
Oh.
The guy who later, who went off and became the police chief did say in this documentary, he said, could we have saved her months? That was the thing that broke the case. Could that have saved her months of agony? Probably. He said, I have to live with that for the rest of my life, And so I look at this Nancy Guthrie case, and I'm just like, we know that mistakes happen. We know that there are stumble bums, and there's investigators who don't know what they're doing. There are guys who have just, never been involved in something like this, or maybe they have been involved, and they, like I said, the biggest problem with the Smart case was they spent 3 or 4 weeks pursuing her family. After they'd even cleared their alibis, they continued to dig in and go like, well, how can we prove that maybe one of these people did it? It's like, look elsewhere. Fine, look at the family, but look elsewhere too. And at least the investigators in the Nancy Guthrie case are doing that. But if you ever want to have your faith in our police forces and our investigators shaken, that documentary, and there's another one about a woman who was kidnapped while her boyfriend was in bed with her, and the guy who did it managed to keep him at home with a bunch of lies, and then returned her. And investigators just called it, it's the Gone Girl case. She faked her own kidnapping. They finally caught the guy.
Right. And again, not taking somebody seriously for what they're saying.
Yeah.
You've just absolutely. This reward going up to $1 million says that, and the way that was worded just a minute ago, I mean, what are the odds that Nancy Guthrie is still alive? Not having her medicine.
Yeah.
And, the shape that she was in, probably what she's been through traumatically, the blood that was on the front steps. I don't think the odds are really in her favor. Now, miracles can happen, and I guess it could be true, but it is concerning that the family now is offering it a $1 million reward.
Yeah, I'm fascinated by that as well. I'm also fascinated that if this is in fact true, that there was a guy there that was casing the place earlier, he was probably casing other houses as well. Unless
right, and
this
was
was
she targeted?
Yeah, unless
was
this was
Nancy
a
targeted?
super targeted thing.
Right. And it doesn't feel like, for something, it's just, he seems very, again, toting the gun in the very front of his pants is just like, what in the world is that?
No.
I've never seen that before. Like, you've never carried a weapon before.
No.
So he doesn't seem like he's some seasoned, robber or thief or, kidnapper or whatever it is. He looks like he doesn't know what he's doing.
He saw it in a TV show or a movie, thought, hey, that'll look pretty cool.
Well, he's good enough at it that he's
They still
managed to
haven't been
avoid
caught.
investigators all this time.
That's right.
So props for that, I guess. Anthony and Company Jewelers, 2080 Valladale Road, next to Ragtime Cafe. I have them repairing a piece of jewelry for me right now, and I feel confident with them. First off, I said, this needs a stronger chain. And they said, okay, well, what kind of chain do you want? I said, I heard something about a paperclip chain. And they said, oh, well, let's go through these books And they actually paged through these books and said, what size are we talking about and how long do you want it to be? And this has to be actually soldered on here. It doesn't have like it doesn't go through a loop or anything. I was like, you know what? I trust you guys implicitly, but they let me make my own decisions about what this was going to be. And I love that. And I love the fact that it's all being done in house. I should be picking that up here within the next day or so. Very, very excited about it because I know it's going to look great. I love their repair system. I love their selection. I love the fact that they've got something to fit every price range. Whether you're talking about Mother's Day or you want to get somebody a little something for Easter, Anthony and Company Jewelers should be your first stop. Although if you want to make it a later stop and shop and compare, you're going to find that nobody can beat their prices. AnthonyCoJewelers.com online. Anthony and Company Jewelers, 2080 Valleydale Road, next to Ragtime Cafe. 821 Dixon and Vining, Talk 99.5, talk995.com. Ain't no rock like 80s rock because 80s rock don't stop.
It's a great tune.
24th of February of 2026, we got the big Birmingham RV show coming up this weekend. 27th, 28th, and March 1st. Chance to save thousands on this once-a-year event. They got towables, they got RVs, they've got on-site financing available, and I'm going to be broadcasting there on Friday, so come on by and say hi. Why don't you, please?
Yeah, and look at this weather. We're going to have warmer and warmer temperatures coming our way. Finally going to get back into the 60s and maybe the 70s by the weekend. We're loving that. Boating weather is around the corner, and Rodney's Marine would love for you to come see him this weekend at the Alabama Boat Show. That's going to be at the shops at Grand River in Leeds. Free admission, free parking. Just get out there and see all the boats February 27th through March the 1st. Again, that's the Alabama Boat Show. Rodney's Marine will be there. The Starcraft Silverwave pontoons and tri-tunes, the Suzuki-powered engines that they have on their boats. This is who you want to deal with, folks. So if you live in the area and maybe you just want to go see all of these boats, you head out to Leeds and check it out this weekend with Rodney's Marine.
I was there last year. I went specifically to buy, well, I wanted to see, Rodney's Marine, of course, but also the Levi's outlet is there, which means that this Saturday, the pants I'm wearing turn 1.
Well, that is good to know, Richard.
That's right.
Congratulations. Happy anniversary to you and your jeans.
Happy birthday, pants. We appreciate you. Look, Rodney's got so much great stuff going on. Not only is he the boat whisperer, and he's got, a fantastic team and huge bays so they can accept almost any size boat and they can work on them, and they do with great regularity. They have all the tools. They have all the know-how. If you need your boat worked on before the season begins, you'd be a fool to go anywhere except Rodney's. So you can trust them to do the job right the first time. And if you want accessories put on, they can do that for you as well before the boating season begins. De-winterize, all that good stuff.
Yeah. Get in touch with Rodney's Marine. These guys are located out on Lake Logan Martin and Cropwell. That's off of Highway 231. Rodney'sMarine.com. Call them at 525-1500 or check them out on Facebook.
And now, it's Dixon and Vining's top 3 things you need to know.
For 61 years, young ladies from Hoover High School have participated in the Hoover High School Beauty Walk, sponsored by the senior class representatives within the Student Government Association. On Saturday, 105 girls in the school's senior class participated in the event at the historic Alabama Theater in Birmingham. They wore ball gowns and were escorted by young men in tuxedos, and judges crowned a Miss Senior Class 2026 and awarded a Miss Congeniality prize. The event was emceed by Miss Alabama, Emma Terry, and by James Spann. This year was slightly different. There was a young man who wanted to be involved. He identifies as a girl, and he attempted to participate. He was denied entry, and that, of course, sparked outrage. But you know what? The organization is the organization, and they get to make the decision that they want to make. School administrators allowed the SGA to vote on whether the boy could compete, and in a nearly unanimous vote, the students decided to keep the event strictly for young women, biological
Females,
women,
yes.
XX chromosome women, as evidenced by the use of the title Miss in the award and by the historic precedent of female-only participation. Good for you. A lot of guys would have caved. A lot of people would have caved.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Especially young
we're
people.
We're not playing this game anymore.
No, it's time to shut that down before it even gets started. It's become ridiculous. FedEx is suing the Trump administration for full tariff refunds after the Supreme Court ruling said that they were unconstitutional last Friday. FedEx said, look, we have paid a lot of money in import-export fees, expediting imports and expediting U.S. customs. And consequently, we would like that money back. They said, going to be close to $1 billion by the time we're done here. Now, this is where the mess kicks in. First off, if you're going to refund FedEx's money, you got to refund everybody's money, right?
Yeah.
Secondly,
and they're starting it.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
Here we go down this road.
Well, there are small businesses as well who
Yeah.
sued. That's why the thing ended up in front of the Supreme Court. But the next question is, how much of that money did you pass on to the end user? And if so, if you get reimbursed, do you have to then turn around and give that money to each and every person that you took it from? Now, if we can come to a conclusion about whether or not these companies deserve this money, it shouldn't really be that difficult. Look, we're in tax season right now. the U.S. federal Treasury manages to turn around and send tax refunds to a huge number of Americans every single year. It seems like a daunting task to me, but they kind of have it figured out. So if there does have to be a refund to companies, it seems like that's something that we could figure out. It just does become a question of, does there have to be a refund? Who rules on that? Who makes the decision? Because the Supreme Court decision didn't say nothing about it.
No, they're not. They're not going to get into the deep weeds.
No.
They're just there to rule on this one thing, and how it plays out is a whole nother story.
Yeah.
But
Well, it's interesting because, when they make a ruling like Obergefell, right? They said, okay, gay marriage is now legal all across the land. That doesn't mean that, they went back and said, oh, you couple that got married in Alabama against the Alabama state law 7 years ago, now you're married. On the other hand, if you went and got married in New York where it was legal, or New Hampshire where it was legal at the time, then you did, in fact, you had a legal marriage at that point. Brown versus Board of Education. They weren't really able to go back and put in place any sort of fix-its for the fact that there had been systemic segregation in the system for all those years. All they could do is say, well, we're going to start busing now, and we're going to see if we can fix that. So it's not unprecedented for the Supreme Court to say, well, yeah, you can't do that, but that just means going forward you can't do that. Doesn't mean that you get any money back from previously doing that,
Yeah.
So there may be some more court to come.
I would guess that there would be. Yeah, because otherwise this is going to be a gigantic mess. They've got to figure it out, though.
Rob Reiner's son has pled not guilty to murder in the killing of his parents.
Of course he did.
32-year-old Nick Reiner, son of Hollywood luminary Rob Reiner and Michelle Singer Reiner, pleaded not guilty Monday to 2 counts of the first-degree murder more than 2 months after their deaths, denying for the first time that he fatally stabbed his parents. Reiner's attorney, Deputy Public Defender Kimberly Green, you remember he had that big heavy hitter? Brought the guy in, and then apparently the dude just was like, never mind.
I'm not doing this.
He doesn't have any money. He can't pay me.
That's why he's now got a public defender.
I'm not doing this for the profile. Anyway, Public Defender Kimberly Green entered the plea on his behalf as he stood behind glass in an enclosed custody area of the packed L.A. courtroom. The third of Rob Reiner's 4 children, Nick Reiner, has been held without bail since his arrest hours after beloved actor-director, and photographer and producer Singer were found dead on December 14th at their home in the upscale Brentwood section of Los Angeles. What a horrible situation that was. I mean, it's hard to believe that was only 2 months ago.
Right. And they had some, this was somebody that had some mental issues. They got a little heads up the night of that party that they went to because he was acting irrational enough that they needed to leave, which was unfortunate. And then it was soon after that this happened. So, good luck to him and his public defender. It's not looking like he's going to be able to get out of this.
It was high-profile private lawyer Alan Jackson who had to quit the case at the previous hearing, citing reasons beyond his and his client's control that ethics wouldn't let him reveal. Right. In parting, he adamantly declared that pursuant to the laws of California, Nick Reiner is not guilty of murder, which sounds an awful lot like he was not in his right mind. And so he's going to be found not guilty by reason of insanity. And then he's going to be sent off to an institution.
For the rest of his life.
Yeah, still not good enough.
Nah.
You behave in that manner. That is truly astounding. That just
kill.
The number of knife wounds that were involved in this, and the amount of suffering that those people had to go through.
Well, and it made a documentary that I just watched on HBO Max of an interview Judd Apatow did with Mel Brooks, kind of doing a whole retrospective of his career.
Yeah. And
Carl Reiner was very, very involved in that, talking about his memories of Mel coming over and visiting his dad.
Oh, yeah.
Rob Reiner, I'm sorry, visiting his dad, Carl. And then to sit there and think that they just got done filming this and Rob's already gone.
Well,
it just made that whole thing just
a little chilling.
Yeah, it really was.
Denson and Fuller, my insurance agents. If you can insure it, you should insure it through Denson and Fuller, 414-1476. Local and independent, they work for you, not for some big insurance company. And that, my friends, is a real game changer. So give them a call or visit them online, densonandfuller.com. You're going to love your experience with Denson and Fuller, 414-1476. Dixon and Vining, Talk 99.5, talk995.com. Back in a flash. Is that Billy Ray Cyrus? Yeah. As if we need another reason to dislike him. Achy breaky heart was enough. I don't know why you felt the need to go back to that well, man. But okay. 8:37.
He's still making money with it.
Yes, he is. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And little Nas X, I think, is in the loony bin now, isn't he? He got picked up for something. He was out of his mind.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
8:37 with Dixon and Vining. Work Trucks is downtown at 2324 3rd Avenue South. If you're in the market for a truck for your business, you could go around and, shop the new ones and then pay a whole lot of money and eat the depreciation as soon as you drive it off the lot, and then have to go get it outfitted the way you want it to be outfitted with all the stuff necessary for your job. Or you could simply go to Work Trucks and say, here's what I'm looking for. I need a quarter ton. It's got to be a GMC. I need it to have a toolbox on it, a ladder rack, and whatever. And guess what? They're going to take care of you. They're going to make it work for you. They're going to do what you need done, and then they will give it to you all at one great low price because they've been doing this for 35 years now in the same location. They know their stuff at Work Trucks. Work Trucks with an X, LLC.com. Check them out there. Check out their entire lineup there. Check out their entire supply and over 100 vehicles on the lot at any given time. And then you can drive by and visit live and in person, of course, at Work Trucks with an X, LLC.com, 2324 3rd Avenue South. Work Trucks, where they are all about trucks. 8:38. Okay, serious bunch of stories here that need to be addressed before we move on. One is that the head of the CDC is leaving after 2 months.
That didn't take long, did it?
Did not take much.
Like, whoa.
What he says is that, I have unexpected family obligations. He was the he was the Surgeon General of Louisiana when he got plucked to become the CDC deputy director, is who he is. And he just said, look, I didn't expect this to pop up. It's popped up. I got to take care of it. And so I'm out of here. He's one of the guys, by the way, who is Dr. Ralph Abraham is his name. He's one of the guys who is, not anti-vax. I wish people would stop referring to people as either pro-vaccine or anti-vaccine.
Well,
There's shades of gray.
Yeah, when you're talking about 74 vaccines for kids or 70-plus vaccines.
Right.
There's gray in all of this.
We can be in favor of 30 of them
right.
and dislike the other 44.
Doesn't mean you're anti-vax.
Right, and that's the problem. And they even, you might remember, they changed the Webster's dictionary definition of being anti-vax to say, well, if you're against vaccines or if you're against vaccine mandates. I'm like,
no.
What? No. That doesn't make you anti-vax because you think it shouldn't be mandated. If you want to go get the vaccine, go ahead and get the vaccine. Just don't make everybody get the vaccine. I'm not anti-vax. Abraham wrote in a February 13th, 2025 memo to staff members, while we encourage each patient to discuss the risks and benefits of vaccination with a provider, LDH will no longer promote mass vaccination. So he was one of the guys who was, kind of an architect of the whole, let's dial this back a bit. We've just been doing things the same way for the longest time.
And not asking real deep questions about, is it necessary?
Yeah. Or is this doing any good? Is it doing more harm than good? Which is entirely possible, There's a lot of stuff that has taken place over the last 30 years, about the time they started kicking in these high levels of vaccines, that you have to say, wait a minute, there's correlation, but is there causation? We don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And
is it one particular vaccine or
Right.
is it the combination?
Right.
The number of them. And it could be just one, but you don't know that unless you start asking questions and you start doing research on it.
Yeah.
To figure out really what's going on here and are all of these vaccines necessary. And it appears that's an awful lot.
Ain't nothing wrong with looking into it. That's the thing that I always find interesting is there are some folks who you go, maybe we should investigate. No, that's fine. We don't have to look at anything. Dude, what are you own stock in Pfizer? What is that? Americans are now zebra striping.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What exactly is zebra striking? Well, it's something you do instead of quitting drinking. You'll down one regular beer, and then you will follow it up with a Michelob Ultra Zero.
Or something like that has no alcohol in it.
It has surged to become the #1 top-selling and fastest-growing non-alcoholic beer in the country, overtaking Heineken 0.0 just 12 months after launching in January of 2025. Industry observers say the milestone reflects something larger than a single brand's breakout year. However, the rapid ascent underscores a structural shift in how Americans socialize, moderate, and think about alcohol. Rather than abstaining entirely, many consumers are alternating between alcohol and non-alcoholic beverages, a practice known as zebra striping.
Wouldn't it be a lot cheaper just to have a glass of water
Yes,
or a
it
bottled
would.
water? Just say,
Yeah.
okay, I've had a beer. You know what? I'm going to stay hydrated. And it probably needs some water. I'll get a bottle of water. Instead, you're drinking you're purchasing probably a Michelob Ultra Zero near the same price as a regular Michelob.
Or more.
Or more.
A friend of mine told me the story about how he went to the store to pick up some non-alcoholic beer for a member who was coming to a party. They were having a party. I think it was Christmas time. And he said, oh, this guy doesn't drink. So he was told to go to the store and get some non-alcoholic beer, some NA. He didn't even know where to look for it. He was in the soda aisle. And he asked somebody, he's like, where do you keep the non-alcoholic beer? He's like, it's in the beer aisle, genius. He probably didn't say genius. And he went over there and he said, I was shocked. It was like $8 for a 6-pack of non-alcoholic beer. I'm like, what is the point of this?
I don't get that.
Well,
I really don't.
let me add on to that, because this past weekend did a story on CRN, my racing show, that Lewis Hamilton of Formula One fame has teamed up with a tequila maker to do a non-alcoholic version of tequila
That's water.
that you can now
That is
find
water.
in Target stores for $29.99 a bottle.
Non-alcohol.
Okay.
Oh, come on. That is a joke, right?
I was
It's
sitting
not
there looking
April
at this thing and
Fools.
going, non-alcoholic tequila. What's
Well,
the point?
You're drinking flavored water that tastes like tequila. That's what it has to
This
be.
is for people who
right?
don't want to be drunk, but they want to smell like one.
Yeah.
Why would you do that?
Literally, the way that they put it out there was for those who like the taste of tequila but don't want to be drunk.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm paraphrasing,
Well,
but that's
I guess-
effectively it.
I guess if the tequila, non-alcoholic tequila, tastes like tequila and you want to make a margarita, but you don't want the effects of what the alcohol, but you're going to make a margarita.
Yeah. You're just getting
Maybe
you're
you
just
just-
loading down all that sugar,
right,
anyway,
and salt.
without getting any real benefit from it, like a hangover the next
I don't
day.
understand. Okay, what to each his own. If they can make money doing it and people drink it,
The reason this is called zebra striping, by the way, is because if you drink one alcoholic beer, you drink one non-alcoholic beer, the buzz from the first beer lasts about as long as fruit stripe gum.
Right.
Oh, so true.
Okay.
Mm.
You guys do whatever it is you feel
Michelob,
you have.
next time I'm in the store, I've got to look. I've got to see how much this really is.
Well, here's where you can really save some money. An 18-year-old drunk on hand sanitizer
What?
Mm,
in
ugh,
Ohio, Canton,
is-
Ohio.
Stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
An Ohio woman is facing charges after police say she punched an officer in the face while under the influence.
Well, that just got worse.
Wow.
Jade Kane and her boyfriend Alan King, not the Borscht Belt comic, had caused problems at the address before. When officers arrived, body camera video shows King's mother outside on the sidewalk, who started filling them in on the ongoing issues between the couple. Police say that's when Kane and King came out of the house. Kane started arguing with the family almost immediately, according to the report. Officers said Kane appeared to be under the influence of something and couldn't stop talking. Officers later discovered Kane had ingested hand sanitizer. According to the report, one officer decided to detain her in a patrol cruiser to get the investigation moving. That's where things got physical. When the officer walked her to the cruiser, Kane went limp and dropped to the ground. Once at the cruiser, Kane sat down briefly, and the body camera footage showed her asking for a shoe. Police said she then swung her left hand and hit the officer in the face with her fist. The officer is shown in the video slamming the door shut, hopefully on her hand.
Yes, but it was sanitized.
Another officer arrived on the scene shortly after and talks to the family before Kane is taken to the state Stark County
How do
jail.
you, and maybe we don't need to share how do you,
Mm-hmm.
but you're drinking hand sanitizer.
Mm-hmm.
Usually on a bottle of liquor, it's 80 proof or 90 proof or whatever the proof is, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you can kind of judge what your tolerance is with that. How do you do that with the hand sanitizer? Because I know it says a percentage on the outside of it, but it's different.
Right.
It's different.
I believe it's judged by the number of squirts. Like,
One,
you're good for 6 squirts.
two,
Yeah.
3. I feel great.
I bet you do. According to what I can find, effective hand sanitizer requires an alcohol concentration or alcohol by volume content of at least 60 and up to 95%.
Whoa, hello.
So
It's a different kind of
again,
alcohol,
It is.
though.
It is. Yeah. I can't believe she drank hand sanitizer. How desperate do you have to be?
Well, I'll tell you, to be
I guess you're not going. You're not of
Very
age to go buy
desperate.
alcohol, a bottle of
Well,
And
alcohol.
you ran out of
18 years
NyQuil.
old.
Yeah.
that was, to be fair, she was doing 1 squirt of hand sanitizer, and then she was drinking a Michelob Ultra Light 0.0.
Oh,
So
Sebring.
and then
Very
she was zebra striping. It was okay. 8:47 with Dixon and Vining. Stick around. 852 Talk 99.5, Talk995.com. I have an interesting piece of information for you here, and it kind of ties in with one of our great sponsors. A Honus Wagner card, the holy grail of baseball cards, sold at auction for over $5 million. Guy found it in his grandfather's collection. It wasn't really, he wasn't keeping it a secret. It wasn't like in an attic somewhere or anything.
That was tucked away in a sock closet
warehouse.
somewhere.
It was in a warehouse, actually. The guy
tucked
In a
away and
safe?
kept in a very
In a
nice
safe?
place because for $5 million, that means you are a high-graded card.
He was in, high grade, but actually not as good as two others that sold recently. One, $6.606 million, sold in August of 21. Another in August of 22 at $7.25 million. So this one was, they were grades 2 and 3. This one was grade 1. I didn't know the descent was actually like one is the not as good. You'd think that would be like grade 1 would be grade A, would be the best, right? But no, apparently 1 is not as good. It's like first-degree burns.
Sheesh.
First-degree burns, second-degree burns,
Yeah.
third-degree burns. They're the worst, I guess.
A baseball card went for $7 million.
$7 million at one point in August of 22. $5
Wow.
million for this most recent one. But the key word here is auction,
Yeah.
Granger Thaggart Auction Marketing does this all the time with your property. This and I want to talk to you guys before you think about leaving, and this happens all the time. You think you're doing your kids a favor. I'm going to leave this big old piece of property, this piece of real estate, to all 4 of my children together. No. First off, you talk to Granger Thaggart Auction Marketing. They have the ability, they have some software where they can divide that up into much smaller lots and sell each one individually. They'll sell at the same time, but you're going to make a lot more money off of it that way and get a better market value. And then leave the kids the money because that's what they want, or liquid assets at least, because otherwise you end up with a lot of squabbling between people who somebody wants to buy it, somebody else can't wait to get rid of it, and somebody wants to borrow money against it. And it's just, unless you can get all 4 to agree on the same thing, you can't get everybody on the same page to do anything with it. So Granger Thaggart Auction Marketing is in the business of taking that undivided ownership property, if you've already done that, get all 4 on the same page and go to gtauctions.com to find out more. If you haven't already done that, then I highly recommend an auction. Separate yourself from the property, get the liquid assets, and get it into your kids' hands when you pass away. It's just the right thing to do. gtauctions.com to find out more. gtauctions.com, Granger Thaggart Auction Marketing. This was actually owned by Morton Bernstein, I guess. Morton Bernstein. I think he was a Muslim, right? Bernstein with a name like that? Probably? No? Okay.
No, not.
I'm going to say probably not.
He owned the F.B. Rogers Silver Company in 1955, and he made it a point to display his preserved cards in frames throughout the business.
Ooh.
Yeah. This has been in that family for 116 years. It was purchased new by his grandpa. Pretty amazing. Morton Bernstein, son of the National Silver Company founder, Samuel E. Bernstein. And he'd been collecting trading cards and preserving them since the early 1900s. Honus Wagner famously told the tobacco company that made these cards, I don't want my name associated with tobacco any longer. And so that was when that came to a halt, which is why there are so few of them, which is why they are worth so very much money to somebody. I mean, I wouldn't give you 20 cents for a Honus Wagner baseball card. I got no use for it. But if you really are a collector and you love having this stuff,
Knock yourself out.
$5 million plus, to get yourself a pretty good copy. There is another one that is on the market right now if you're salivating. This one is an SGC Authentic. It's considered a grade below number 1. It is right now at $2.318 million.
And you say to yourself, too, if you know enough about some of these baseball cards and the value of them, if you were to buy it for $5 million and sit on it for 5 or 10 years, would it be, worth a lot more, say 10 years down the road? Would somebody else come
Very
along
well
and
could be.
Yeah.
instead of paying $5 million, they'll pay $10 million for it. So it's like an investment at this point.
Chances are good there are fewer and fewer of these as time goes by. They're either disappearing into private collections or, just being lost or misplaced, or they're not making any more of them. That's the point,
This is it.
All it takes is, and I had this dream of going up into the attic of a house that I bought
And finding just that.
not necessarily Honus Wagner, but a Mickey
no.
Mantle rookie card goes for a lot.
Mhm.
You find yourself a Rogers Hornsby, You could probably do all right with that.
Or some painting that
Oh,
is sitting back there that's worth whatever, you know.
a Van Gogh. Find yourself a
Where
Matisse
did this come from?
or something, you know.
Grandpa, I didn't know you had this.
There was a
all
case
this
recently of
time.
a guy that bought an old photograph at a garage sale and he paid $2 for it. It was like an ancient old photograph, and it was one of the earliest known and few remaining pictures of Billy the Kid.
Ooh.
Yeah, and he was like, something about this. I feel like I've seen this somewhere before. And he took it to an authenticator, and they were like, "Oh yeah, that's Billy the Kid, man." And he went and sold that on the open market for a lot of money and gave the garage sale owner bupkis. He was like,
Thanks for nothing.
"You're the idiot who sold this thing without bothering to check it out, you know. So I'm just gonna
Yeah.
hold on to it."
It'd be my luck. I'd go up in the attic and look around and go, "Hey, cool painting." Oh, wait, Hunter Biden.
Yeah.
Oh, no. You burn that thing.
Did you see where his the concubine, the mother of navy blue, is upset now because she's got all these paintings and they're worthless? That was part of the settlement.
That
is
was
that
dumb.
she
Come
was-
on.
She was getting some of his paintings. It's like, you silly girl, you think those are worth money? Oh my gosh, no.
That wasn't very
No.
smart.
No. Yeah. she's like-
There's only value when dad's in office.
Yeah,
So
that's right.
As soon as he's out, it's over.
That's
That went from, whatever amount to zero.
Well, then it's questionable how much it was actually worth, even while Joe
yeah.
was in office.
oh
Golly.
they weren't buying the paintings. They were
No.
buying the access to Joe Biden, obviously. And I'm starting to realize why she was a stripper, because she wasn't smart enough to figure that out. Yikes. I suppose there might be some curiosity factor involved, you know? Somebody shows up and looks at the paintings and says, "Oh, I'm going to say $3-4 grand." She says, "Well, okay, I guess that's something. I'll take it." He goes, "No, I meant to get rid of them.
So true.
You're paying
He
me."
wasn't very good painter.
No, it was a
horrible.
joke.
Yes, it
But I
was.
will say, it was really rather brilliant. I mean, the Clintons had
You
their...
can sell the influence through
Oh,
the
yeah.
painting.
Yeah,
That's
because
it.
because paintings don't really have...
A real value. It's
Right.
whatever is in the behold of the
Exactly.
person that wants to buy the painting.
Exactly.
Any kind of artwork like that.
So when they say, "Oh, I'm going to pay $500,000 for this," and you know it's a piece of junk, but who's to say? You know, how do you say,
Right.
"Oh, you're peddling influence by selling these paintings"?
I kind of hate he started that, because there's going to be others that come along and go, "Well, I'm going to do some pottery.
Yeah.
How much is that pottery worth?" "Well, I don't know how much you're willing to pay for
I
it."
believe Eric Trump is doing balloon animals right now.
Oh,
selling
no,
them for
those don't last.
selling them for very little. Nobody really wants them. It's
Balloon
sad.
animals.
9
It's
o'clock.
about like that.
With Dixon and Vining on Talk 99.5 and Talk995.com. Producer Steve will get another turn. He gets one every day. That's going to be coming up in the next hour.